There is almost nothing about the realities of running a comic shop, fiscal, emotional, psychological, that is a good pitch for children.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Eyes to approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challenges do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It gets hard and it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
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 Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal. Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
Gonna have to adjust this pointing away from me. Maybe I wanted it more toward the gap, but all right, let's go higher up. Shouldn't be too loud.
I know.
My voice naturally carries. I don't need a lot of amplification.
That's true. You do have a very loud speaking voice.
Try to tone it down sometimes, but
Too boisterous.
I don't.
Too jolly.
While in the recording studio last week, recording some new songs, The Divorce Gun.
Can I ask you a question about the Divorce Gun?
Yeah.
So on your store playlists, you have a lot of, like, Serpent Crown songs?
Yeah.
I don't really hear any Divorce Gun songs. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you.
I'll have to...
I mean, we sell the CD in the store.
It's true, we do. It's true. I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't assume that they're not, like, I'm sure there's a song or two that's probably, like, not store appropriate, but I can't imagine there's, like,
yeah,
bulk of them.
Ball Breaker for sure.
Well, yeah, but
like, I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you. Think about that.
I will. I don't have a specific answer.
Okay. Just an oversight?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I thought about that recently as another Serpent Crown song came up, and I was just like, but not Divorce Gun?
Those Serpent Crown songs were recorded back in 2000, 2001.
Sure. I'm aware.
So they had plenty of time to get on the playlist.
Sure.
That Divorce Gun album was 2018.
Refresh your playlist pretty often.
Well,
like sometimes stuff like there's like Capaldi songs that just are suddenly like
No.
Okay.
Those aren't playlists. I have one major playlist where I put everything that I want to hear into it. Sure. I've recently gone through and cut out a lot of the ethereal pop stuff out of it.
Okay.
But like when you hear Peter Capaldi come up, that's just here's what I bought that's store appropriate in 2025 playlist.
Okay.
Like I definitely haven't moved Peter Capaldi into the main.
I see.
It's called Tech Tunes. The Tech Tunes playlist.
Got it.
And I think
mine's called Work Songs.
Nice. I think I never just got around to putting Divorce Gun in it.
Okay.
And it's tougher now because...
You guys are on Apple Music, right? Did that ever get fixed? Maybe that's why it's not on your playlist.
There you go.
Who do I gotta call?
Hey, what? Dude,
Cupertino.
Tell me who I gotta call. 63 other goddamn streaming services.
Somebody was looking at the albums on Sunday or Monday, and I said, "Oh, it's one of Patrick's bands." Patrick has a band. Patrick has several bands, but that's one of them. You can also stream them on Spotify. I didn't bother saying any other platforms.
It's fine.
And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, here they are. There you go."
Yeah, nice. We'll never see that person again. Hey, what did you do to the website, Dal?
So I'm constantly doing things on the website, tweaking things, adding little things. One of the things I wanted to do recently is, for those who aren't aware, we added some functionality to the website a few months ago, that allowed people to get notifications, text messages, when items they're interested in are back in stock. It's super simple. Every website does it.
Yeah, mainly the thought behind that is for graphic novels restocking, not single issue comics.
Right.
Or action figures. Or Pokemon cards, which aren't even on the website, so
right.
I'll take that back.
So what we can do with the functionality is get to see what items people are looking for notifications on. And it is graphic novels, and that's helped us a few times as people have added stuff like Invincible Compendiums or manga volumes where it's like, oh yeah, no, we'll get those back. And then they get notified as soon as they're in, and then sometimes they buy them online or they come in for them. But the problem is, as Patrick said, we're also getting people who are adding things like Ultimate Spider-Man #1 first print and Absolute Batman #1 first print. And 1 in 25 variant covers that came out 2 years ago. And it's like, these are never getting restocked. So what I had to do is I had to figure out, okay, how do we make it not take those as notifications? And I thought one of the ways to do it is there's a filter function on the app. Patrick,
Is this a new plugin that you found, or is it existing functionality for something we already had but weren't using?
No, it's a new plugin. Well, it was new a few months ago. And not to digress, but originally I was looking for a plugin that would allow us to send text messages directly to customers.
I remember that episode
when
of the
we
podcast.
needed to notify them of stuff, but we would never really were able to find something that could do that. But one of the things that I tried that couldn't do that could do the thing where it sent people text messages. I'm like, oh, this is a good ancillary benefit that ended up being the sole benefit of that app. Specifically, I like the billing on it, where you only pay for text messages that go out. It's not a monthly fee or whatever. It's just like, if you got to send a text message, you pay X amount of cents for it. It's like, great, fine. So like we loaded in like some amount of money on it, a small amount of trial amount a couple months ago, and we still haven't run out on it. So it's great. It's exactly what I want. I don't want to pay a lot of money for it because it's
Especially
something
when
that
I'm using it regularly.
Yeah, especially because, you send people a text message and maybe they buy it, maybe they don't. But anyway, so a lot of the things that we were seeing were people asking for things that we were absolutely not going to get back in. And I was kind of looking into how we would have it only appear as an option on items that we could conceivably get back in. And there's a filter function on the app where you can basically say like, okay, if it matches these things, it'll allow it. And I tried that and it just wasn't working. And so I sent a help message to the app developer saying, hey, I did this thing and it's still showing up on everything. And it took me time because I had to tag basically every graphic novel, which is, we have an automated thing that does it, but I had to set up the automated thing to do a specific tag on every graphic novel so that it would be part of, you couldn't say like this collection or this product type. You had to say, okay, what tag? Okay, well, not every graphic novel has the same tag. Let me add a tag to everything. And it wasn't working. So I sent them a text message, not a text message, a help message. And they got back to me and said, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, all right, well, here's the screen. And they said, oh, okay, well, and this is stupid functionality. On our admin side, the app has its own little page, basically, a little thing that we would have that would be similar to when we change products, when we interact with customers, and when we look at orders and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just a little thing on the sidebar. However, there's also an app embed setting that you can only get by going to the customize website thing, which is usually what we do if we want to add images to the website or if we want to change text on different pages, that sort of stuff. So it's like, okay, well, I'll go into that. The problem with that is it works in the exact opposite way. It's saying, okay, well, what things do you not want this to show up on? What tags do you not want it to show up on? It's like, okay.
That's weird.
So now I have to tag everything
unhelpful.
I don't want to have this, which meant I had to run an automation that added a specific no SMS tag to 50,000 items on our website, which took about 4 hours.
I just want to point out right now that this is so far beyond my scope of understanding of how these things work. And I'm following along with what you're saying, but for me to have the ability to do this,
you would have tapped out way earlier. You would have been like, I don't care. We're not doing this.
Sure.
We're not offering this functionality.
But I mean, without you standing over my shoulder and saying, click that, click, no, not that one, click that one. No, it's up there. Click that one. Don't click it twice. Wait.
So
take your hand out of your mouth.
The good news is now the notify me when not available, notify me when available option to get a text message.
So wait, the solution was
the app embed
tagging
thing. Yeah. Basically it was going into the app embed and saying, okay, anything with the no SMS tag should get the regular sold out function. Anything without that tag, i.e. graphic novels, should have the notify me when available pop-up, which is all set now. So when you go to our website, if you look at like a single comic that we're sold out of, it'll just say sold out. If you go to a graphic novel we're sold out of, it'll say notify me when available, which is cool just on the back end because I can see the stuff that people are asking about. And there were a couple things where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize people cared about that. I'll probably reorder those this week just to make sure that when they're back in stock, maybe those people will want them. And obviously there's still things that people are asking about that we just can't get. Like somebody asked to be notified when an Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus variant is back in stock. And it's like, well, that's probably never going to happen.
It was also a special order to begin with, probably.
I mean, any omnibus, but like if it was an omnibus, I'm like, oh, maybe we could get that. I'd maybe just like consider texting that person and going, do you really want it? I mean, if you're really going to buy it, I'll order it for you. But I'm not going to order $150 plus omnibus just in case you might decide you want it in the future. But like a $20, $30 graphic novel where it's like, I don't mind having that back on the shelf. Sure, fine. Patrick, you had your arm up for a
I
question?
did. I have a question. So moving forward, when new items come out every single week,
Every single week?
do you have to then reverse tag them in the appropriate manner?
I do, but I'll probably not do it every single week. There's a lot of stuff I do every single week to our item database to massage it to make sure it's doing what we want it to do.
Once again, things I have no idea about how they happen.
Sometimes I think about writing down all the things I'm doing so that if I got hit by a bus, you wouldn't just have to be like, I don't know, we don't do those anymore.
What website?
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff that, like, if you reached out to anybody else who uses Shopify or Manage Comics, they would be able to, up to and including Brian Garside, they would be able to help you do 90% of the things that I do every single week. But there's 10% of the things I do that I had to come up with as tasks on my own because of how I wanted our website to work or how I wanted things to do their jobs correctly, that you would probably just be completely in the dark on. You would not know why things weren't happening anymore because that's the 10% that is not part of the normal routine of things. That's just something I do.
I want you to know that months ago, I bought a What to Do in the Event of My Death book.
Oh.
Like, basically, it was an unnecessary purchase because a notebook would do suffice.
Sure.
But it has prompts as to bank accounts, websites,
Sure.
passwords, things like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't done a single thing with it aside from put it on a bookshelf. But I have it.
Maybe do it before June 23rd.
And in the event of you needing it, because we've talked about this often, how
Sure.
each of us doesn't know specifically how the other person does things that only they do.
I mean, currently, unless this changes where we both make a concerted effort to kind of cross-train each other on stuff that we do, if you got hit by a bus tomorrow and you've already posted this episode of the podcast, this would be the last episode of the podcast. I would be like, I have no idea. I once upon a time,
It would be, no matter what, it'd be the last episode. You're not going to want to do it.
no, I would do an additional podcast episode. I'd be like, Patrick died. This is the last one. But 10 years ago, I knew how to do it because we had a very simple process for it. But I'm sure it's gotten significantly more complex with different servers and different services. And I would probably be like, I don't know how he was doing this.
It's
I don't know the passwords. I don't know the logins.
Incremental steps have happened.
Yeah.
But, I've taken them one at a time.
Sure.
You need to take them all at once. So, yeah. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, that's maybe a second half of the year thing where we both try to make a little list of what are the things we're doing daily for the store that only we do, so that we can at least have a list of here's the things I'm doing, and I can show you how to do them. So even though you won't remember this, you at least know where you should be looking to get this moving in the right direction.
I can't tell you, listener, how many times there's been a procedure or functionality for the website or for Managed Comics that I'm like, hey, Dal, how do I do this? And Dal explains it, and I get it, and it makes perfect sense. And then I don't need to do it for 2 more months.
Right, you don't retain it.
And then when it's time to do it again, I'm like, oh, I haven't done this repetitively. It's not ingrained in me.
For sure.
I've forgotten entirely.
Yeah.
And Dal said, it's that button right there on the screen. Oh, right, that order button.
Yeah. Sometimes shit moves around, though.
It does.
You were just complaining the other day that Shopify did a minor aesthetic change where they have kind of a menu bar, not a menu bar, but a little breadcrumb trail at the top of a page where they'll tell you oh, you're on this order. And normally to the left of that would be and then here's the thing you click on to go back to the orders thing.
Yeah,
and
it was a little arrow to the left.
Yeah, and it would just say orders. And you'd be like, oh, okay, that's how I get back to orders. I'm going backwards into orders. And they got rid of the word orders and they just put a little inbox. Oh, that's where the orders are. And it's unless you realize that they just swapped out an icon for a word, you were looking at it, you're like, why did they get rid of the way to get back to orders? And it's no, you just click that. But
you click in the exact same spot.
You wouldn't think that.
But because they changed it from a word to a tiny little symbol that didn't register in my brain as an order.
It's an inbox.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know.
But an inbox doesn't.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So I was going a much further way around. There was a very fun task for Taskmaster this season. They do tiny little tasks that everyone does, but they use them as, hey, the new episode of Taskmaster is out tonight. So for each week, they show one person doing it as a little commercial. It's not part of the episode. It's not part of the scoring.
It's just a little thing to do for social media.
And the first thing was you're on a computer, you're on Wikipedia. You have to pick a country.
Okay.
Name any country and go to that Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Once you're there,
Mhm.
using only clicks, you have to get to the Taskmaster Wikipedia page.
Wow. That's rough.
I mean, it's fascinating to see how people's
Yeah.
minds work.
Where do you click to? What's the thing on the page that you think is going to get you there the fastest?
So specifically this week was Jason Mantzoukas,
Okay.
and he picked Greece,
Okay.
and there was a link for cinema.
Okay.
So he clicked cinema, and then there was a link for, I don't know, like The Favorite. So he clicked The Favorite, then he clicked Olivia Colman,
Uh-huh.
and then he picked Wonka, and then he's like, oh, Matthew Boynton's in Wonka.
Uh-huh.
He's
A Taskmaster
in
kingdom?
this season of Taskmaster.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, we're filming this well before it's been announced. No one knows he's in it.
Uh-huh.
I can't do this. I have to go backwards.
Oh no.
So how did he do it? Oh, he got to Charlotte Ritchie, who was a contestant in, I think, season 11.
Okay.
And it took him 9 clicks.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
From Greece, it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
And ultimately,
Does Greece have a Taskmaster? Like, do they have their own version of
they
it?
don't.
Okay. That would
As
have
far as
probably
I know.
saved them a few clicks.
But I mean, unless it's on the Greece homepage, the Greece Wikipedia page.
Maybe
how do
it's
you-
like a thing that like Greece is famous for. Like, oh, they have a really good version of Taskmaster.
So it took him 9 clicks, but it doesn't matter. He's not being judged against anybody else.
Yeah, this is just for
It's for fun.
yeah.
But I
for an
think
advertisement.
it's basically 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but you can only click on established links.
That's good though.
You know, I'm already trying to figure out what a good Challenger's version of that is.
Yeah. I don't know if we have a Wikipedia page. Maybe we do.
Oh, that's a good point.
Never thought about it.
Well, but you can get to our website. You just can't type anything. So yeah, it's that was you talked about following trailer breadcrumbs,
Right.
and that made me think of that. But it is a good function, and the amount of work you do on the website goes unheralded and unseen.
Somebody mentioned it to me recently. I can't remember. Somebody had called up or maybe somebody had come in. Somebody had mentioned it. And it was just like, it felt very unsolicited. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. Thanks.
Oh, so you didn't recognize my voice. Excellent.
I didn't. It was, you did a really good, I don't know what accent that
Why,
was.
yes, hello. I would like to say
Yes.
that this is the excellent website, and I'm very happy to be clicking on this. I found it by going to the country Greece.
Uh-huh. What accent is that? Ridiculous. That's right.
Clown,
Sorry. Sorry.
clown accent. One thing, this is a tiny little thing, but it makes me disproportionately angry
Mm.
when people, I'm not saying who, are taking a special order
Yes.
and they only put an email address down.
Sure.
I hate having to stop what I'm doing to email someone, and when I do it, they get the most basic, like the subject heading is
Sure.
the title of the book, the email is your book is in.
So I had to take 1 or 2 recently.
Oh, was that you?
That was me.
I didn't know that.
One specifically was for a woman who'd gotten an Injustice Year 1 collection. She asked if she could give me an email address because she doesn't live in the country anymore and she does not have a U.S. phone number.
Huh.
So I'm like,
Then how
all right.
is she going to be around to get this book?
She already picked it up. She's like, I'll be in town for a week. I'm like, it might be in by then.
Okay.
And she picked it up. She picked it up for Comic Book Day.
Well, there was somebody today that I had to contact.
So that was, I want to say it was the woman who had reached out. Was it the Web of Spider-Man?
Yes.
She had emailed through the website.
Okay.
So it's like, I mean, I could have asked her for a phone number, but it's like, we kind of already have an email address.
Here is one
I
of the
feel like we're
reasons I
done.
hate it.
Uh-huh.
Because each of the 2 times I've had to do it recently,
Yeah.
I did not know, is this an O? Is this a 0?
Oh,
Is
sorry.
this an L? Is this a 1?
Sorry.
Because there's always at the end of a word, the start of a number.
If you see my handwriting, you can always just reach out and be like, I can't read this. What is
I
this?
don't want to have to keep reaching out to you for things.
But it's fine. I mean, especially if I'm making you extra work, I would have just gone like, oh, it was this woman who reached out to us. You can just go to the message she sent and just use that as the link. I could have saved you some.
I took an educated guess that it was the word Toledo,
Mhm.
not the word Toledo 0,
Okay.
but who knows?
Sure.
The first time I was going to just send it to both email addresses,
Yeah.
but as I was typing it in, like an email address popped up, so I'm like, okay,
Sure.
it must be this one.
See if I can look that up real quick. Not that I want to read out someone's email address on the website, on the podcast, but I'm probably gonna.
And I assume if
Sure.
it was a 0, you would have put a slash through it to
Maybe.
make sure.
I don't know. Yeah, no, it was letters and then 3 digits at the end. That was it.
Are the digits 050?
550.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not 0550.
No.
Or 00550. Okay.
Yeah, the letter O and then 550.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, while you're looking things up,
Yo.
I brought this home.
Okay. You mean to the podcast auditorium?
Yep. And then I brought this to my home.
And then you brought it to the podcast.
And then it was still in my pocket
Yes.
when I came here.
Yep. Hey, it's my printout for the lunar order that showed up that was supposed to have 3 reader books in it.
Yes. So with this particular stocking number, 1933.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So here's what happened with that.
Here's the situation for people at home. We got in 3 restock copies of Department of Truth Volume 1.
Yep.
And when I went to the purchase order to log them in, that line item was closed.
Correct. So here's why. One of the weird things that Lunar does is that when you report a shortage and they reship it on the original purchase order. So we had been shorted those, and so I kind of closed the line out because I'm like, I don't know what, I just assumed that like everybody else, it would just be an additional order number that would come in. It's not. They use the exact same purchase order. So those can just get upped in the system because I already had to close that line out.
That's fine.
Yeah, that is a specific Lunar thing that I kind of dislike how they do that, mostly because nobody else does it. If everybody else did it, I really like it.
There was a few books that came from PRH today. One was the replacement copy of Mouse Guard #1 facsimile that they shipped only in a padded envelope. And
the square book.
When the UPS guy dropped it off, the way he dropped all the boxes, you see how this is folded like this? That is how that envelope got trapped between 2 boxes.
Oh, man.
So I just like, well, better than the first one.
Yay.
They're getting it.
Yay.
What can you do?
Nothing.
And then there were a bunch of other special orders, including that Web of Spider-Man or Web of Spider, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just logged those in through Managed Comics.
Sure. That's the way to do it.
And then I'm like, oh, damn it. There's nobody special order. That means they're all in the book.
Yeah. Sorry.
Somebody had asked for 4 issues of a series, Moon Knight.
Yes.
And 3 were ordered from PRH. 1 was ordered from Diamond.
Correct.
I didn't call them yet because...
Okay. The Diamond one should be next week, I think.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't like doing the whole, hey, I know you got one more coming. You have to buy these 3 in a week or these all go back out.
That's totally fair.
Okay. Here's my next question that I am doing you a disservice by asking you this when you're not in front of a computer. And I almost said, hey, bring your iPad for this. But there's too many things to look up.
Okay.
So I had a special order for several volumes of this particular manga.
Okay.
You can say it out loud.
I Am a Hero.
Dark Horse puts it out.
Okay.
Great. They want the omnibus.
Okay.
Right?
I think we've carried that before for somebody.
So it's Dark Horse. First, I look it up on Diamond to verify. It's Dark Horse, and of course, so they have nothing.
Of course.
All purple triangles.
Yeah, don't even look.
Okay. So who carries Dark Horse?
Penguin Random House.
Right. So go to Penguin Random House, type in I Am a Hero.
8 billion things.
8 billion things come up. No, I Am a Hero. So type in Omnibus. Search results don't change.
Yeah.
Dig up the creator name, type that in.
They might not even use Omnibus in the title for something like Penguin Random House. They might call it something else, or like they might just say I Am a Hero 1 parentheses 1 through 3.
So
something.
Here's what I did. I went to PubEasy.
Sure.
And PubEasy shows me all the volumes that are unavailable. All the volumes this customer wants are available in Canada.
Doesn't help us.
No. But anyway, ISBN numbers, right?
Perfect.
Great. Cut it, paste it, no results.
Yeah, that's weird.
Then I typed it. I'm like, all right, I'll take the EAN number. Type that in. Nothing.
Huh.
So my quest for you was going to be find these on the Penguin website. You don't have to do it right now.
I can work on it while we're talking.
It was so frustrating because at first I'm like, oh, okay, well, you want 6 through 11. We can only get you 8, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Then they leave, and I realize, oh, no, I can't get any of those. Those are Canadian ones because they don't list them in order. It's not like, here's the Canadian ones, here's the American ones.
I hate to say this, there is a thing you can do on PubEasy searches.
I even looked for a sort thing when nothing was
where you're specifically, like, there's a thing at the top when you're putting in all your information to search for. There's like a drop down where you can say, like, only search my accounts basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So it won't show you any Canadian ones.
figured that
It won't
had to
show
be a
you stuff
thing,
that you
but-
don't have an account for.
Huh.
I'm going to try a trick. So frequently when you search on Penguin Random House for something that exists, but Penguin Random House won't surface it,
Yeah.
it generally means that they just don't have it in stock. They won't show you stuff
And
like
that's,
that.
I assume that's the
Except-
case.
Except if you put in the ISBNs, that's usually what will bring up sold out items.
Huh.
If you specifically say this is the ISBN, they will give that to you. Check. I'm going to try one neat trick. And I hope this doesn't work because it's just going to make you mad if it does,
I mean, if it works, then I know it for the future
I guess.
until I don't use it again for 2 months, and then I have no idea how to do it.
Publisher. Apply. Yeah, I tried. I did I Am a Hero, and then I did a filter down to Dark Horse.
Yeah.
I get I Am Their Silence, a 2026 hardcover from Dark Horse. And the
2026.
Yeah.
Okay.
January 13th, 2026. On sale soon. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Creating a Champion's Hero Edition, a 2018 hardcover from also Dark Horse. It's in stock. $110 if anybody wants it. Adding items to cart is accessible through desktop only. A message I've never seen before. Look at that.
Huh. That's weird and kind of, I can't think of the word that is meaning like rude to people who only do things on devices.
Rude.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I could dig around in this later, but I definitely don't think we can get this book for somebody. Like if it's this hard to find it,
Yeah.
they don't got it.
But the problem is you could place orders for it on PubEasy.
Well, didn't you say they were out of stock?
Yeah,
unless you're
but
in
like,
Canada?
but some of them were like stock coming soon. Like we could put in a reorder
Oh, okay.
that we can't do here.
Sure. Yeah.
And they left thinking I was getting them 8, 10, and 11.
Yeah, it's super duper weird because yeah, I tried it without the quotation marks and just I Am a Hero. Same 2 items come up.
Yeah.
We can't get it. I'm just gonna say we can't get it.
I mean, it did come out in like 2019.
Yeah, and look, we tried. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not going to be mad at all.
no,
I'm just frustrated because
Sure.
of the differing answers for the same product from 2 different ordering portals.
yeah, we've talked before. I don't think ever on the podcast about how much we love how Diamond's database never gets rid of anything. So you can look for stuff and just find out like, hey, when did this come out? 15 years ago, and it's like, oh, here's when it came out, the exact day.
Yeah, I like looking that stuff up.
And yet, like Lunar, there's stuff that comes out this week that they're just sold out of, and it's like, oh, they won't even show you. You can't find it on the database. So it's like, but I have it. I just need the data that goes along with it, and it's like tough. It's gone. And Penguin Random House will do the same thing, where they will just hide stuff that they can't actively sell you, and it's like, yeah, but what if you've already sold it to me? But I need some of the data that's in there, that's in your listing, like an image or something else, and now I can't have it because you can't sell it to me, even though you already sold it to me.
It's not their job to give you images now.
It should be that.
One of the things I hate most about the Lunar website that it does that very same thing you're talking about is when you go to order a book for somebody and you look it up and it comes up in the search field. But then when you have to place the order in the order field.
Yeah.
And then you go to do that and it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I pretty much only search for stuff for people in the new order field. Anything I'm looking, if someone's just like, I want a release date, it's like, I'll just search in the main search bar. But if someone's like, can you get this for me? It's like, I'm only going to do it through new order because anything else is going to be double work.
Well, this is a very different podcast episode than I thought it was going to be at this point last week.
Oh, yeah?
Because I thought we were going to have a significant portion of audio from the career day classes.
Yes, that we did in elementary school.
And one of the, and we'll talk about that now because we saved a lot of it for this episode to have the audio with it. So weirdly, the audio, and I think I referenced this last time, I turned it on once and then it turned itself off and on 18 more times. So I don't have one full, and I only recorded 1 3/4 classes.
Right.
But there's 18 pieces. None of it ever stopped and started at like a continuing point. It's always broken thoughts. The first one is a good chunk, And then everything else is anywhere from 3 minutes to like 42 seconds. And anything that was seconds, I didn't keep.
Forget it. Yeah.
But I've pieced them all together, but with a beep in between.
Okay.
But it's so broken and disjointed.
Just not fun to listen to.
I may still try to salvage some of it, but I did not. This has been a very busy week.
Yes.
And I did not have
It's going to be a very busy month.
Yeah, I did not have time to get back to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like our recording schedule is up in the air for next week.
Figure it out.
Also, I looking ahead to a major event coming up outside of the store, I thought maybe we pause this for 6 weeks.
At least a couple weeks, I think.
Maybe.
I think there's maybe a brief hiatus, and then
Yeah.
we'll work it back into the schedule.
Yeah, we may need to take some time off mid-June to through July or so. You'll know when we know, folks. But anyway, we went to Career Day, and we each had an idea of how we wanted to get into our presentation. We didn't do a lot of...
Yeah, I mean, I had something the morning of. I'm like, oh, this could maybe be a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
You might have had like more.
Well, to be
planning
honest,
put in
a week
yours.
later, I kind of forgot what mine was now.
Sure.
But so for the fact that we were doing this on our own time, we didn't put as much into it as they may have hoped.
Well-
Like they'd said, like, oh, you can do audio video presentations. I've literally, for any speech I've ever given, I've never put together. Oh God, I just lost the word. What do they call it? A rack for it?
Oh, a deck.
A deck. Yeah, thank you. A deck. I've never put together a deck
Yeah.
for a presentation, made a PowerPoint, any of that kind of stuff.
So the weird thing about this, we were approached by a customer of ours who is an educator to participate in a school's career day. It's not a school anywhere nearby the store. It's the school that they teach at, and they're a good customer. And so we thought, like, we'll see if we can make this work. And then afterwards, like literally as we were leaving, we were both like, oh, we should have never said yes to this because it was the Thursday of Free Comic Book Day, and like that day alone, like we had to leave on a day off.
We met at the podcastatorium.
Yeah, we had to leave the school after we were done, after we'd spent like 3 hours there, drive directly to the store and start setting up for Saturday's Free Comic Book Day. Like that's how packed the week was. So like we definitely should not have done like a 3 to 4 hour educational thing. Now the weird thing,
don't discount the hour and a half it took to get there.
I know, that's why I said 3 to 4 hours. The weird thing about this was the idea of doing a career day for children, for basically 2nd to 8th graders. I don't know that it's something that we should have said yes to, because that's kind of not how we look at our industry. Like, if you're a doctor, I think it's easy to do a career day and be like, hey, here's the valuable things about my industry. Here's how you get there. Here's what's good about it. Here's like, these are kids that might already be thinking, some of them like, oh, I might want to be a doctor when I get older. Pitching on how running a comic shop works and what that career is and all that is, like, I would only ever do it for people who are like, I know it's a bad idea. I have to do this. And it's like, all right, we can talk about it now.
Disenchanted with my 9-to-5 tech bro job.
Yeah.
And I want to change, and I have all this money to throw away.
There is almost nothing about the realities of running a comic shop, fiscal, emotional, psychological, that is a good pitch for children. Like, you almost want to come at it from the opposite angle of like a Scared Straight thing. Of like, let me tell you all the things that go into my job so you can avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
So it's very weird to have to kind of come up with the optimistic, positive version of this. Like you're saying like, hey, this is an industry or career you might find value in. Because it's like nothing I would tell you normally would make that sound right. So let me figure out the things that might make you think like, oh, maybe this is something that I've wanted to do, but I hadn't thought about.
And just the idea, the concept of a career day is something I never encountered as a student. I'd only ever been exposed to it in movies or entertainment or TV shows where it's a plot point or a gimmick.
Yeah, we didn't have them at my school. At any of the years I went to school.
And I mean, as a child, I always knew I wanted to be, look, I say I always knew I wanted to be, I'm not doing that. I thought I wanted to be an artist, a commercial artist, a freelance artist. Every aspect of my education. Luckily, I went to a high school where I could kind of major in that in high school. I took a heavy art load and was working in the art department in my free time, things like that. So I had a career in mind, but I don't imagine other people do unless it's like Space Cowboy or Rockstar,
Right.
like pipe dreams.
Yeah,
Dreams that can come true, but
it's weird because I also, when I was 12 years old, I started working at a comic shop part-time and I never stopped.
I'm really sorry about that.
I actually did stop for a little while. Then we opened a comic shop. So it just got worse. So yeah, I never really had that thing of like, oh, this is what I want to do when I grow up, or this is what I want to go to school for so I can get a background in so I can pursue as a career. So I have no idea like what that would look like or how that would be. Like I feel like you just fall into jobs or whatever. I don't understand how people have a career path. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought we came up with, independently and accidentally for the career day, I thought gave a pretty good view of what we do, both like realistically, but also like aspirationally, to be like, there is the joy in this. Like we do this not because we're forced to or because we have no other skills, although, but because there is a part of it that we love, that we don't want to give up, that we will put up with everything else to get to. And yeah, my thing that I thought of in the morning was like, oh, like what if we do a thing where we start the presentation with me saying like, hey, I started reading a bunch of manga and, I look to the kids for like, give me some recommendations for manga. And they, pitch me on the things they like.
Because we've been told for years that the kids all read manga.
Yeah. So the thought was like, oh, they would, tell me about the things they like and they tell me why they like them.
And they'd be excited about it.
Yeah. And it's a good entryway into the presentation because it gets them like participating and it gets them a little excited. And then I could go like, oh, the reveal is like, that's what we do. What you're doing right now, telling me the manga you like and why I should read it and what you like about it. That's what we do professionally. That's the job. So the downside of doing that is, and I'll get to this other point in a minute, but it basically is, we were doing a backwards version of what I think a career day should be. The downside of doing that is you're kind of relying on basic participation cold from a group of children who don't know you and don't care about you. So if you can think of kids in general not giving a shit in school and then also put them on the spot where they have to then participate in something, you are going to get nothing.
Yeah.
The first class we presented to, it was pulling teeth to get anything out of them. The second class, a lot better, a lot more like, oh, here's things. But like, it was, as we went on, we made that portion of it, that little intro part, very brief. Because it's just like, all right, you get it, you get the point, you get the idea of like, we're talking about comic books we like, that's the job, now we're moving on to like our background and everything else. Because it's fine. Like, I think Patrick in the first session was really passive aggressive about like how the kids were not participating. And to me, I'm just like,
I really was.
To me, I'm just like, dude, I was in 8th grade. I would also have kept my mouth shut the entire time, even though I was a comics fan. If like an artist had come in and been like, hey, tell me about the comics you like, I'd been like, I don't know what you mean. I don't read comic books. I don't understand anything. Who is a Quasar? Whatever. So yeah, it's fine. I don't begrudge them that. Like, I get it. It's fine.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Going over the top, like, wow, you guys are so excited. You're like, calm down, one at a time.
Which definitely did not bring them out of their shells.
The thing that was funny to me was that the 8th graders specifically had to write a paper about us. And they all had a list of questions that they needed to answer. And we were given those questions ahead of time, expecting to be asked those questions. And we were not. Kids just didn't have questions. And my favorite point was one kid asked a question and we answered it fully. And we're like, does anyone else have a question? Another kid raises their hand, asks the exact same question because they just weren't paying attention.
But just rephrased a couple words. And it was like, oh no, okay, let's do that one again.
Yeah.
Which again is fine. It's kids in school. But so the thing that I thought the most about by the end of it, and so we did 2 8th grade classes. We did like what?
A fifth, then a seventh.
A sixth, I think it was a 5th and a 6th, I think. And then like a 2nd grade?
We ended on 2nd.
Yeah.
We did a 5th. I thought we did
I gotta look now.
2 8s, a 7, a 5, and a 2.
I saved a photo of our schedule.
We did a 7th or a 6th.
It was 8, 8, 5th, 6th, 2nd.
Okay. I was wrong.
We did 5 altogether. We started at 9 and we were out by 11:20. So
after the second one, I turned it down and said, I can't do 3 more of these.
But we did. We got through. Yeah, I mean, basically all we ended up doing is we talked about kind of like our career trajectory and how we got to where we are and how we worked other places and how we own our store now. The reality of kind of what we do day to day, as far as like what are the actual jobs we do, what are we responsible for, why do we do this, that kind of thing. But what I realized afterwards is the way we were asked to do it is you would just go into a room with a class and you would then pitch them on this career, this thing. And it's like most of them, like, again, assuming just a baseline, I would still recommend people do this job, which is a leap I'm taking to make this career day work.
To make this a career.
Because that is not a thesis statement I would normally have.
Right.
That this is a job that anyone should do. Most of the kids there don't care about it. They're not interested in it. It's not a path they would ever follow in their life. You have to be like, one, a huge fan of comics, two, somebody who just wants to sell them. Like, you're not going to hit a lot of bullseyes with that. Like, that is a very small selection of people who might be potentially interested in pursuing that as a career in, grade school. So to me, I would rather kind of reverse it where it's just like you and I have a presentation to the kids who opt in, who are like, oh, guys who are in a comic shop, I want to hear about that career. I want to hear what that job's like. Maybe I'm interested in it just because I'm interested in it. Because I had to do this sort of similar. I don't know if it was a career day or whatever, but I had to. I was invited to do at a high school 20 years ago a little thing where I talked about comic books. But it was done in the library during like lunch periods.
Yeah.
So kids could choose to go to that instead of going to the cafeteria. So it was only the kids who were already vaguely interested in
Did they
this.
still get to eat their lunch, though?
They did.
Okay. That's important.
Oh, they weren't skipping lunch to do this. That would be insane and also unhealthy. So the kids that were in this room, even if they, some participated more than others, they all had an opt-in interest in doing this. Like, just going randomly to a class is like asking for a lot of blank stares. A lot of kids that don't care about this, that don't have any interest. And I don't blame them. Like, there's any number of careers that if I was in 8th grade and someone showed up and was like, hey, let me talk to you about being a pro golfer, I would completely tune out. I would have zero interest. Even if 3 other kids in the class are like, oh my God, I love golf. Like, I don't know if that's true, but let's assume that some children care about golf. So yeah, it's kind of subjecting children to just your career feels like a way to get them to not give a shit and to make presenting feel like you're wasting their time. But if they opted in, if you were just in a room and they came in, it would be like, okay, well, I know that you vaguely care about what I do, so I can work with that. This can be fun for both of us. I don't know if that's like logistically feasible though for a school to do that.
No, and we are definitely going to be asked back to do this next year. And I think my misconception was that once we were given the questions, that I thought, oh, I'm not going to do a lot. They're going to ask us questions.
Okay. See,
and they didn't.
I looked at the questions as more like, and this is my own reading and comprehension. I looked at the questions as more like, if you can't think of anything, like these are topics you could cover. And it's like, well, we'll probably cover those tangentially, but it's not really, I don't want to go down this list and fill in these answers. So I looked at them more as suggestions than like, you need to hit these points because these kids are writing a paper.
I had just gotten 2 of my CGC books back, and I thought, oh, this would be fun. I'll bring Amazing Fantasy 15 to the classes and show them. And
which I'm glad you did it, because you'd mentioned that, and I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to do that. I would have been like, I don't care. But like,
legitimately, some kids cared.
And it was a cool way you would usually pull it out and show it to children, and I should have phrased that differently, at the end of the presentation. And they honestly did enjoy seeing an Amazing Fantasy 15. Like, they understood, some of them understood the significance. Most of them understood the dollar amount that you would place on it, because that would be the next question.
I mean, yeah, I never volunteered that, but I mean, I didn't say, hey, this book is worth this much money, but when people ask. And the one time,
and they always would, though.
And there was one time when a kid said, I have that. And I said, great. Maybe you do. I don't know.
You don't.
I mean, probably not, but I don't know. But he could have a reprint. He could have
a facsimile edition. Yeah. They've gone back to pressing that.
One kid volunteered that they have Hulk #1 from when he was gray. Like, okay.
That's great.
Yeah. So it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. Hilariously, we were told that the second graders would have the most questions, And they did by far, but not necessarily about comic book retail.
Yeah, they were just second graders who had questions. I feel like kids that age always have questions. They have questions about everything.
The weird thing about the second grade class was they had them sit on the floor right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So they were at our feet.
Right.
We're looking straight down at them.
Yeah,
and that felt really weird.
I'm 6'3" and they're second graders. They don't need to sit at my feet.
Yeah.
That's not a good angle for them.
And I can't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but every room we went into, let me slow that down. Every room we went into had what they called a smart board, which was like an electronic chalkboard. And they had said, oh, if you have a presentation, we can plug it in and put it up there. We're like, no, we're fine. It wasn't until we came into the last classroom, the second graders,
where we were punchy and we were just like, let's finish strong. Let's close out.
But also, the teacher had just been doing something on the board.
Yeah.
So I realized what it was capable of. I'm like, oh, this is just a computer.
It's just a web browser.
It's connected to the internet. And I'm like, wait, how does this work? So they brought up the keyboard. So we pulled up our website. So we had things to scroll through and point at.
We had
and
like a visual aid to be like, this is what our store looks like. This is what we do.
And
here are the books that we have.
That teacher was also taking pictures during the presentation. So I walked over to her and gave her my camera and said, can you take a picture of us, please? Mm-hmm. And she did. And that's the one I used on social media because it looked like we had a full audio video presentation.
Uh-huh.
It was our website. Yeah. That was it. And that's all we'll do for next year as well.
Pretty much.
To know that we have that. But I mean, our website gives everything you want.
Yeah. Again, it's just a good visual aid to show you, like, again, here, like if you go to our website, challengerscomics.com, right on the front page of the top, like, here's a picture of the store.
Yeah.
Here's what the store looks like.
Yeah. And a lot of kids are like,
here's the books we
store. I've been to your store.
You want to see a picture of Batman? Here's a picture of Batman. You want to see a picture of Pikachu? There's Pikachu.
There you go. Yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was such a tiring day that when we finally got to see Thunderbolts in the afternoon, you saw Thunderbolts and I saw the first half of Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I passed out.
You eventually saw the second half.
I did.
Most of it.
I saw all of it.
99% of it.
I passed out and missed the entire century half of the Thunderbolts, or the other name of the movie, which we won't say in case people
people are still seeing it.
I mean, it's all over everywhere, but anyway.
It is, but in case you missed it.
And then we had to go home and record a podcast, which is what we're doing right now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So let's...
Always recording a podcast.
Yeah, right? It feels like that. Let's jump to Free Comic Book Day. We'll do a quick, brief wrap-up. It was a busy day. It was a long day.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the art show in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it ran like every other Free Comic Book Day for the last whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned this last year. We have a really good crew. People who've been with us for a number of years, who have done Free Comic Book Day a number of times. And even when we tweak stuff like adding an art show on afterwards, the bones of Free Comic Book Day are pretty much the same because it's reliable. And I know that's not maybe the best word to use when you're trying to talk about like a huge energetic event. But reliable on the back end is exactly what you want. You want something where everyone knows how it works, where people know what the rules are, where people who are working know what position they should be in, how they should do things. If people ask them questions, how to answer them, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to come up with new ways of doing that every single year because then it's just retraining everybody every single year. Like leverage the experience that people have doing this. And we've been able to do that, and that's been great.
We were down a few people. We were down Donovan. We were down Samantha.
Seems like we're always down at least one person.
But we picked up comic professional Sarah Delane from the Image graphic novel Little Girls.
Yeah.
We did a Little Girl signing years ago. Full bands.
Mm-hmm.
Big release party and everything.
Is it pre-pandemic?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Everything was pre-pandemic.
I know, but I'm just thinking about it.
It is the event you use when we are asked if we could have bands in the store.
I wouldn't bring that up, but okay, sure. Yeah.
But anyway, last year, so there's some sort of punk thing at Subterranean every year, the same weekend.
Yeah.
And Sarah and her friends came out for it last year, and she stopped by and said hello, and we hadn't...
Is that why all those punk fans don't go to the Kentucky Derby?
No, they don't go because the leather festival's in town.
Oh.
Same weekend. It's a busy weekend.
Horse leather.
So she came by last year to say hello, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to be in town again this year. I'll come by and say hello again." And then she's like, "I have the whole day free. Do you want help?" We're like, yes.
As it turns out.
Yes. We're down to people. And Sarah used to work at Comics Experience in San Francisco.
So that's the thing I wasn't aware of, or at least if I was aware of it, I'd long forgotten it.
So she's got like
I probably would have
retail
given her more to
chops.
do.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this comics professional is so nice. I don't want to overwhelm her. But
Sure.
it's like, oh, you worked at a good shop. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I could have given you more to do.
Yeah, it's
But
fun.
maybe I'm glad I didn't know that, because then I would have given her more to do, and then I would have felt like an asshole, because it's like, you're just helping out
Yeah.
today. Why am I doing this?
Sure. What was funny was we had at certain points, 3 different people filming footage for what have you.
Yeah.
And one of the people has given us the footage so far, and hilariously, I'm not in it at all.
Yes.
But Sarah has a big like waving sequence. You're in it a bunch.
Yeah. Well, it was because it was the person that I had interacted with originally. I think they just come in and they said like, hey, I shoot stuff for social media and for other places, commercials. Like, would you ever be interested in me just coming in and shooting some stuff just like for my reel for your social media? And I'm like, we have Free Comic Book Day coming up next week. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. So just come by. Like, because it's Free Comic Book Day, we don't have to schedule anything. Just come by
Yeah.
whenever.
Yeah.
There'll be lines of people around noon. If you come in, there's going to be 1 billion people. Like, hopefully that'll help. We'll have cosplayers and everybody else. So yeah, they just came by. Their rig was real small. It's just, camera and like handheld. So they just got a bunch of like interstitial footage and B-roll and stuff, and they composited it together, set a score to it, put some graphics up. It was great.
Yeah, it's a quick like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50-second thing.
I told you after I saw it that I always feel kind of ambivalent about people shooting a bunch of social media stuff during like Free Comic Book Day, because I can see the appeal of it. There's 1 billion people there. There's all this visual like stuff happening. But for us,
it's not an accurate representation of our store.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, the store has to get torn apart to fit in all these people, the creators, all these books, whatever. So I will always see little things around the edges where I'm like, oh, we don't usually have the bookshelves in front of the back issues, but they have to be for Free Comic Book Day because we got to get those bookshelves out of the windows so that we can seat 3 creators and 3 folding tables.
I think I will move all the bookshelves out of the window for next weekend's Blades of Furry.
Probably a good idea.
Event. So there was a retailer post on one of the forums about how you do it, how your setup is. And I was reading some of it off to you yesterday.
Yeah.
And everybody does it so differently, and nobody really does it the way we do it.
Yeah, most of the people do folding tables, and they just lay the books out in piles, and people kind of walk around the table and pull different ones. I'd said to you that one of the reasons why we can't do that is because we don't have the kind of square footage that a lot of like suburban stores and rural stores have, where they have thousands of square feet. Like, we specifically, not only do we have a store that is only 1,500 square feet to begin with, but it's also a packed 1,500 square feet. And so there's not like extra space where we can just lay a bunch of extra stuff. So we have to tear the store apart to then squeeze in a couple freestanding racks that only take up, the square footage of maybe 2 folding tables. But because they are freestanding
and vertical,
we can use both sides. We can squeeze in a lot more books that if we had folding tables, we'd have to have twice as many.
Yeah. Remember the very first Free Comic Book Day? It was just the rack right by the counters where the first issues are and the pins are.
I don't. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you and I both remember the first Free Comic Book Day where there was like, 4 books?
Yeah.
And that's just how it used to be. Like, you didn't have to worry about doing all of these things or making all the space, because the number of books grew every year for like, I don't know, probably the first 10 years. And then I think it's kind of leveled out or dropped a little bit.
It's dropped. It used to, 50 was the maximum a few years ago, but now it was like 40 something this year.
Yeah, there's probably less publishers participating. I mean, even the publishers that do less books.
We actually found out we missed a couple because several books that we'd ordered through Diamond got canceled, and you had to reorder them from a different distributor.
Yeah.
And we missed those on the FOCs.
Yeah, I guess I just never saw them, or just didn't realize that they were reissues instead of
originals.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
Initial orders.
I just didn't understand. And it was hard to keep track of, because a lot of this, because Diamond was going through bankruptcy and people were afraid that, reasonably, that Diamond wouldn't be around to distribute Free Comic Book Day comics. A lot of publishers kind of scrambled at the last minute to then make them available through Lunar. And again, the difference was they were canceling the diamond ones, not offering them through Lunar as well.
Yeah.
So if you weren't paying attention, and I'll be honest with you, it was all smaller publishers that we would order maybe a bundle of to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, we might have done more of the Mega Man one.
Maybe. I feel bad about the Mega Man one because that was one I missed through Lunar, and that was what we had on our banners. So
Yeah.
people reasonably expected, like, I thought you'd have the Mega Man one. It's like, well, you're right, we probably should have. I'm sorry about that. It's also too late. So it's just not happening.
Whoops.
But we had the major books, and we had the books that we were, I think, most keen to have in the store.
So we do a lot for Free Comic Book Day. We have a multitude of creators. We have cosplayers, local and licensed, like a dedicated charity group that comes out. I will notice that they also, League of Enchantment also was doing something at Amazing Fantasy.
Okay.
And they had like 12 people there.
They might just live there.
That's fair. To our 4.
Sure.
One of our 4 was like an Alice in Wonderland character.
Yeah, or I think they fought the Justice League.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I'm not, I need to, I feel like I was complaining. I'm not complaining at all. We're grateful that they come out and.
You were just acknowledging that, like, they were not necessarily like a major, like, Avenger.
But we also always have Parker, and we usually have Stella, and this time we had Mike Love as a Ghostbuster with his own full customized proton pack, and the thing with the wand thing that turns into a taser.
The neutrino wand.
And he even said love on his patch. Yeah. I mean, just authentic, man. Well done. And Parker was Chasm.
Yeah. There's always a Spider-Man that he can be.
Yep. And, last year we gave out masks, superhero masks to kids in line. Mm-hmm. This year we had little DC action figures and Sonic stickers.
Yeah, big thanks to our friends at GalaxyCon for providing us with a lot of very cool stuff.
And you guys at the front were giving out Pokemon knockoff Lego things.
Nanoblocks. Officially licensed. I want to make that clear. They're officially licensed Pokemon Nanoblocks. And
I feel like we do a lot, and I'm always jealous of the stores that are in a strip mall and can close on the parking lot and set up tents and do all that.
Yeah.
But I think we do a lot considering we're in the city, and I look around what other stores do, and a lot of other stores do significantly less. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I don't think that it matters as much as it does to me as it does to the customers, because they are on a mission to get as many free comics from as many stores as they can.
So I don't know if that's the case. I think the thing in favor of the way we do it is the number of people that come out specifically because it's a fun day out.
Yeah.
I think it matters that we do all the little things. It's making that event fun for them. The people who don't care are the ones that just want the free comics. And honestly, they're probably not going to buy anything anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, the people who are buying stuff are the ones who come out because it's a fun event, because they're having a great time. Like,
obviously our goal is to get them to stay in the store.
Right.
And we talked last week about not really being part of that comic shop crawl. Mm-hmm. But I think that was to our benefit, because I'm afraid now that if people come to get the books and to get their passport stamped and immediately leave, mm-hmm. like, their goal is to be in and out. And not
you
necessarily
need to hit more stores.
Yeah. So I think, like, the idea of deliberately taking part in a thing that gets people to leave the store quickly may be at cross purposes to what we're trying to achieve.
I mean, I'd maybe consider doing it, but we'd probably have to look at the way our hours of operation overlapped with other stores to kind of best figure out, like, how late do we have to stay open to make sure that we're collecting as many people from other stores as we're sending to other stores.
Yeah.
To make it balance out.
And there was also a sale for people that completed the passport.
Okay.
Special discount, mm-hmm. stuff like that. During Independent Bookstore Day, if you completed the whole passport, which I think was like a ridiculous number of like 30 bookstores, you get 10% off for a year at every store on that list.
Huh.
And I wouldn't want to commit to that.
I guess I'd need to know ahead of time, like, how many people actually complete this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's like, well, you may have 50 of your customers that are doing it, I'd be like, I don't know that we better make a lot of money on Independent Bookstore Day.
Yeah.
But if they're like, look, if 3 people get this, it'll be a lot for the year.
No, I think for the sheer number of people that participate, I think it's a high number of people that complete it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing with Independent Bookstore Day versus something like a comic shop. Like, what I would be curious about from independent bookstores is how often do you see specific customers? Because for us, like what we would consider like a regular customer at Challengers is someone we see 26 times a year or more.
Yeah.
An independent bookstore might consider a regular customer someone they see 6 or 7 times a year. So 10% for the entire year, if it's like 6 or 7 visits, like how much can they really spend?
And also,
versus, do I want to be giving 10% off to someone who's spending $50 a week?
just because they get 10% off at 30 stores doesn't mean they're going to all 30 stores. They're going to stick to whatever their local is, or
Right. And
may on occasion visit somewhere else.
right. So even if, tens of thousands of people participate in the stamping process and maybe 100 actually fill out all 30 stores, statistically, again, it's like 3 to 4 people that might be your regulars.
Sure.
So again, I think the math can work out on that. But yeah, if we were to do something like that, I would need to talk to somebody who's participated to be like, did this work for you? Did you get screwed by this? Like, give me the honest feedback, not the organizer, one of the participating stores.
Yep. Okay, we are actually running out of time, but we have 2 more quick topics to go over.
Okay.
One is the Chillin' Like a Villain art show. The opening was the night of Free Comic Book Day.
Mm-hmm.
We had a crowd of people. There were a lot of people in the store.
There were people.
Yeah. The art is currently up in the store. Some stuff is sold. It's marked off as sold, but it's up in the store. It is available for sale through the end of the month. And there's Instagram post, there's the Facebook post deliberately goes through each piece individually and describes it, talks about mentions the author and the price, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Instagram post just shows you where they are on the wall. People are genuinely interested in looking at them once you point them out because they are a little bit high.
Yeah,
but like today when I'm like, hey, that's the art from the Villain Show, people would stop and look and like walk down the line. I also blatantly put mine at the very front, so people easily make a connection of
it's a big piece. It's a good piece.
Thanks. But also be like, oh, I didn't know you were in the show. I'm like, yeah, just look at everything else. Like it's a good.
It's still up for sale.
That's true. Which honestly, I don't mind if it doesn't go, because looking at the podcast tutorial, it could go right there.
It's true.
That's your wall.
It can go there. I don't care.
Go behind the door. You can go so many places. So yeah, the art opening was a thing that we did.
Mm-hmm. It's
been a couple years since we did an art show. We used to do art shows all the time. The thing is now, Toy du Jour has like an art show every month.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they started doing it when we were still doing ours every month.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like we were cannibalizing a lot of the same customer base.
Interesting.
For the art shows. And now Seventh Corner does art shows every month.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the 4th art show just in our little nerd community for that month, if you count April.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to try it again. I don't think it's something we'll be doing regularly.
No. Or if we do the very specific ways we do it differently.
Right.
But the art is still up. And I think that
I don't think we would do a collective show.
A lot of people work really hard on pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up. But the last thing I wanted to say was, what was that day as a national holiday? What was last Saturday?
May 3rd.
But what was it?
Free Comic Book Day.
And what happens on Free Comic Book Day?
The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, technically true.
Okay.
But if you're celebrating Free Comic Book Day, what do you get?
Free comics.
Right. And we've never participated in Free Comic Book Day as patrons because we've always
as fans, yeah.
We've always worked it.
Yeah.
What did we get as we were leaving on Free Comic Book Day? Well, now the answer is free comics.
Free comics.
Yeah. How many? 7 long boxes full.
Oh, right.
How did you forget that?
I don't know. I just did.
As we were leaving, we passed a dumpster outside in the real world that had 7 long boxes stacked up next to it. And I'm like, hey, wait, are those
full?
Are those comic boxes? So we got out of the car and checked. Yes, 7 long boxes of bagged and boarded, fairly recent comics. Just stacked up next to a random dumpster.
I'll look through those.
Yeah. They were all in good shape.
Sure.
They're, not brand new books, but books from the last 5-10 10 years?
Yeah, I saw a couple of things in there. I'm like, oh, I don't own this anymore. I might want this.
So for never participating in Free Comic Book Day,
we got some free comics.
Yeah, in spades.
Yeah.
We got 7 long boxes of free comics.
Yeah, which have not been gone through yet entirely. It was mostly
There's
just
been no
like
time.
it was late at night, and it was like opening a lid, like, oh, this is cool. Lid back on.
Yeah, we were expecting it to be like rat infested.
I mean, we definitely
Piles
looked
of-
inside before we started moving them, just to be like, is this how long have these been here?
Yeah.
What are these? Oh, these just got put here, and they're in great shape.
I mean, I don't think they were there that morning. We would have seen
No.
them. Maybe.
I feel like, I mean, it must have been
Yeah.
at some point during the day.
Especially having it back end like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
So the universe made up for it.
Thank
for
you,
us
universe.
for 24 years of never getting free comic books. We got
Got them all at once.
We got them all at once. And again, we like took a handful out of each box to say, what is this? What is this? We haven't
Yeah.
gone through it, but
No. Soon.
Yeah.
Not right this second.
yeah. So it was Free Comic Book Day for everybody.
Mhm.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, and this week, Wednesday, May 14th, Exquisite Corpses #1 comes out. I read it today, and it's great.
Yeah,
everyone should try it out.
Dal got unexpectedly excited for it. You know what we got in the mail today?
No.
A package from Tiny Onion,
Nice.
all about
Exquisite Corpses.
yeah. So there's a poster.
First issue's oversized. It is wall-to-wall story. It is the basic premise. I'm going to go into this really fast because we're already way running long for this. Exquisite Corpses. Every 5 years, the 13 richest families in America close off a town, and they drop in 13 of the deadliest killers. Those killers compete to find out which is the last one standing.
But it's a structured tournament.
Right.
It is not a free for all. It is rounds, you versus you.
Right.
And then
So
you move up.
when you get to the back of the book, after they've introduced all 12 of the killers, you will see the brackets.
Yeah.
So you can
So I didn't realize there were brackets.
you can game this out like it's March Madness if you want to. The comic and the creators have worked it in so that is a viable way of enjoying the series. Just on the face of it, though, first issue, James Tynion, Michael Walsh, it's great. They use all the extra pages to help lay out who are the families, who are the killers, who are the people in this town who are going to get caught up in this.
Yeah, so basically this town is sealed off from the rest of the world because anybody in it is fair game to be collateral damage.
Right. So there's people, there are killers that are just trying to bump off their competition, and then there's killers who are just like, I just want to kill a whole bunch of people.
But while also still having to theoretically.
So the killers have different motivations within why they're doing this. But obviously don't want to give a ton away because a lot of this is the way the story is told makes this not exposition. It makes it a fun way of like getting you involved in the characters in the story. I thought the first issue was so good that I immediately went onto Lunar and reordered the last remaining copies they had in stock of the open order covers for Exquisite Corpses #1. So if you wonder when you come in why we have a ton of James Stokoe covers, that's the one they still had, and I got everything they had left. We'll probably be getting those the week after issue 1 is out.
We did not get the bagged covers today.
Those were going to be allocated across multiple waves, they said. We'll be getting those.
They call this a 13 chapter series, but is it 13 issues or 12 issues?
I don't know. But they do mention this as season 1.
Yeah.
One of the things about this that makes me a little trepidatious is that while the first issue is by James Tynion and Michael Walsh, they are the co-creators of the book. They're not the only creators of the book.
They're the showrunners.
When you open issue 1 and you look in the credits, you'll see the Corpse Crew as credited people. That's about, I don't know, it's a dozen or so folks that are going to be working on future issues of Exquisite Corpses. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be issues of this book where I'm like, oh, I don't like those creators very much. But then another issue I might like a lot more. But the first issue is great. It's $4.99. It's oversized. It is fantastic. It's maybe not the most original idea in the world, but the execution on it, no pun intended, is great.
One of the fun things the Tiny Onion crew are doing for this book is every issue they're going to do a signing somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they announced the first 6 signings at different parts of the country. Now, as soon as they said they were doing this, I immediately thought, well, I want in on this. We know James. Like, we've hung out with James. James been to the store before.
Yeah, but not in a long time.
Right. So I reached out. I don't want to bother him.
Right.
I do. I talk to him a few times a year, but never about us wanting anything. It's always just like Christmas greetings or whatever.
Just a person in the industry that we know.
Yeah. So I reached out to Jalen Stone, However, I don't have a direct email address.
Mhm.
So I reached out through, I want to say Blue Sky.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, my choices were like Blue Sky, Instagram, or LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, let's go Blue Sky. That's the new one.
LinkedIn is just for games, so that's right out.
Yeah. But I mean, on each of these platforms, we follow each other.
Sure.
So we had a direct contact there. So I made my pitch via the messaging function of Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been read. And it's one thing like the Matthew Robinson, how do you say Matthew Robinson?
It's weird.
I don't know why I do that.
I don't know why either.
Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss tour
Mhm.
didn't come anywhere near the Midwest.
Right.
Like, when that happens, fine. But if those guys came to Chicago and went somewhere else, I'd feel a little
Yeah,
pain, a little sting.
at least if you're not even in like the conversation.
But
for it.
especially when it's people we have a relationship with.
Right.
We know Matthew Rosenberg. We send him Christmas cards. He does a lot of stuff for us.
It's a bookshelf.
He sponsored a bookshelf. Yeah. So I figured we'd at least be in the conversation.
Sure. And like, not to digress, but I don't mind if someone's like, look, this other store is a better fit for us.
Yeah.
Like and again, if we're in the conversation where it's like, look, we thought about you, but X, Y, and Z means it's not going to work. Like, fine. Totally fine. Like you have always said to creators, like, sign as many places as you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would definitely sting a little bit if it was like, oh, we didn't even know you were going to be in town and you're signing at this shop in the city. Why didn't you reach out to us? Why did we not know about this? There's some people where it would be a bummer if that happened.
So who knows? Like, I guess in 6 months, they'll announce the back half of the tour.
I assume, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if you like the book still, though, if you're still reading back then.
I hope so. I really enjoyed the first issue. I think it's a book that a lot of people are going to dig. I think it's a very solid and entertaining first issue that makes me want to keep reading. Like, it's a really good first issue in how it lets its extra pages give you more than just the setup. Like, it's not just, well, here's the premise, and then, end of issue 1, we've revealed there's a town and all these people are going to be killed inside of it. And it's like, no, that's the solicit text. Like, I didn't need the first issue for that. This is like that. And then it's like, we're going to go into more detail, and then stuff is going to happen. And just the specifics, like, again, like you and I were talking about this, and I mentioned
this isn't coming across. Do you like this book?
You and I were talking about this before, and I'd mentioned that like Invincible is kind of a way I compared this book, because I think when you kind of talk about like it's a kind of battle royale serial killer thing, like I think people have seen those and read those before. There's been comics that have had that as a concept semi-recently. But there's a lot of little detail stuff that just reminds me that James Tynion's a really good creator and Michael Walsh is a really good creator, because it's like, oh, like the kind of John Wick style specific details to how this world works are so evocative, and it makes me really like, oh, I want to know more about this. Tell me about like the previous versions of this story that happened 15 years ago and 100 years ago and whatever. Like, you could do it during any era, and it's like, oh, like John Wick has that, where it's like the second they do a thing where it's like, oh, there's a special coin, like, tell me more about the coins. Where is their whole economy? Yeah. So Exquisite Corpses has that element to it where there's so much world building that they give you in the first issue, where it's like, you could tell me 100 stories in this world right now.
Unrelated. The last thing we're going to mention.
Okay. Such a long episode of the podcast.
I know. But when I was checking in the Luna order today,
Mm-hmm.
There's a mainstream DC superhero, one of the core 7, their solo title.
Mm-hmm. I already know which one it is. I still read it. I like it.
I know you do. We get less than 15 copies total.
Yep.
But still have to have 4 covers.
Yep. Because DC always has your main cover, your open order cardstock cover, maybe an incentive cover, maybe a whatever the month's theme is.
Yeah, but we don't qualify for incentive covers on this character.
And then maybe like some additional month's theme. Like, there's been a time where they've done like, oh, we're doing basketball covers, and we're also doing Superman covers, and we're also doing Batman Hush covers, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it's just like, but a book that doesn't sell well at all.
No,
people still
that's
pick
probably
and choose.
going to get canceled by issue 10 if I
Yeah.
had to guess.
Yeah. I think it's a good book.
It's swimming upstream. What can I tell you?
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.